Okay. All right. Interesting. I love Buffalo. Do you want to stay on for this or?
Yeah, sure.
All right, for sure. All right.
Yeah. So Buffalo is basically trying to. He's trying to use my argument, which is dope, but I think that you just need to explain it a little bit better, right? So,
from the beginning, if you don't mind.
Yeah. So, if the argument is bodily autonomy, what do you think bodily autonomy means?
Yeah, so I think that, bodily autonomy, broadly speaking, is the right to be able to do what you want with your body. Now, I think that it's not absolute, right? Just like most rights aren't absolute. We can think of any right you can think of. There's some sort of restriction that we would probably say would go on it. Maybe not you, Tyler, because I think you're an anarchist, but for the sake of it. So with bodily autonomy, I don't think that you should be forced to create fetus inside of you if you don't want to. I think that you should be able to remove that dependency, and if that means the death of the fetus, I think that that's that is what it is.
Right. So bodily autonomy is basically like control over your physical autonomous self, right? Like the right to self-governance, right? So and self-determination over your body. So it's not just like things that are in your body or on your body, but I also can't. I don't know who's got that terrible feedback in the background.
I think.
But it's also like I can't coerce you to perform actions that you don't want to do. Right, honestly that'd be slavery, right? But so it would definitely be against your bodily autonomy. Do you understand that part?
Yeah, I think that there, we can say that there are ranges to it, right? So someone, let's say,
order. I would say that there are no ranges because then you're just saying you're okay with slavery.
No, I don't think that's quite the same. So yeah, so let's say, so yeah, I guess I forgot you. So you are like you're an anarchist. You don't think there should be any requirements?
Yeah, that has nothing to do at this point, though.
I guess it kind of does.
Well, hold on. Do you think that we should have the right to coerce people to perform actions that they don't want to do?
Yeah. So, for example, right, if somebody commits murder, right, and then they have to have a trial, I think that you can like make them go to the trial.
Right, but I would say that that's like retaliatory force, right? So you're talking about like something to retaliate against somebody with. Like, it's not. You're not initiating. Hold on. You're not initiating. Hold on. You're not initiating aggression, right? Because this is retaliatory to the crime that you committed.
So it's retaliatory in the sense that like you believe a crime has been committed. So so let's say that we don't know if someone committed a crime, right? So sometimes maybe we do. There's suspicion. There's reasonable suspicion. I think that it is, even if that person didn't commit the crime, because we don't know, we believe in innocent until proven guilty. You can still make that person go to court. I think that that's reasonable.
Well, I would say no, that's not reasonable.
You don't think we should, but like that's the thing.
No.
Like with
not unless you had enough to charge me with to say, look, we believe. Yeah, if you had enough to say that, look, we can prove beyond like a reasonable doubt that you did this based on this evidence, then yeah. But if you just suspect somebody of doing something, then no, you can't bring them to court.
Well, yeah, no. If someone has like but like I mean, I'm sure you recognize that there are lots of crimes, and we can't prove that someone did committed it. That's the point of the trial. But we can, bring them in.
Yeah, if you're talking about that, you have some type of evidence that would reasonably suggest that they committed something, then yeah, I'd agree with that.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. But like, so you can agree with that, even if.
I can't just say that, Carl, I think you did something. I don't actually have proof that you did something. I think you did it, and now I'm going to bring you somewhere.
Oh yeah, I think that there should be like there should be a burden of evidence that must be met before you can.
Yeah, exactly.
But like,
yeah, I agree with that.
We can still recognize that there will be people that are 100% innocent that will be brought in on these sorts of things. There are things like this that we know. Say there's a faulty witness. Someone's saying that someone did something when they didn't actually. If someone says, "Hey, this person," like someone gets killed, and then someone comes up and says, "Oh, this guy did it," the police will probably bring them in. Especially if it's multiple people. That person could be 100% innocent. Now, just because we think that it's okay for a trial to be done there, doesn't mean that we're okay with slavery. Like I think that that's a huge distinction.
Well, no, but that's not really the same, right? So that again is basing it on the assumption, given the evidence that you do have, that you could place this individual at this place, like at this particular time and whatever. Then I would say, yeah, I think that's reasonable to bring someone in, right?
Yeah, of course.
But again, we're getting way off topic here, though.
Well, so. That like you said that any violation of bodily autonomy, thinking that any violation whatsoever, that was the claim you originally made. You said any violation of that means that you must be okay with also slavery. I think that's a ridiculous
claim. No. So Carl, if I have video evidence, right, of you entering, I don't know, my property at a very specific time, and there's also video evidence of not exactly what you did inside there, right? But there's no one else that was there at the time, and then you left like 5 minutes later. or let's say that there was somebody inside and that person is dead, and I see you running out of with the video, right? Then that's absolutely reasonable suspicion to say that you committed this crime, and I will absolutely go after you. Yeah, that's absolutely reasonable to like bring somebody into some type of court or whatever. Because
Sure.
I have enough evidence.
The
I have
person,
enough
like,
evidence to prove beyond like reasonable suspicion that you committed this crime. But Carl, if you were like fucking 20 blocks away, right, on video surveillance, like not being anywhere near my house, I can't say Carl did this, and we need to go apprehend Carl.
yeah, so like let's say this. Let's say that you have one of those street video cameras, right? And it's recording, and like somebody walks through an alley, right? And then you see that like 5 minutes later they walk out of that alley. And then it's reported later that there's a dead body in the alley. And so you would think, oh, maybe that person that walked in there, maybe they were the person that killed the person. So they bring the person in for questioning, and the person might be saying, "I'm 100% innocent. I didn't do anything." And we later find out they were. They didn't do it. I don't think it's like wrong that that person was brought in for questioning.
Well, hold on. You're talking about being brought in for questioning or charging someone?
Being brought in for questioning, just for the sake of it. Even if
well, yeah,
person,
we're talking about two different things. Then we're talking about two different things.
well,
I'm telling you that you can only. I'm telling you. Hold on. I'm telling you that we can't just bring someone in just because you think something. I'm telling you that if you have enough evidence to charge them with something, then fine.
No, I know, but I'm saying that like, so the question is just violating bodily autonomy. If they don't want to come in for questioning, right?
Yeah, my thing is not really violating because it's based under the fact that we believe you did this based on this evidence. Your thing is not. It's really like there's no evidence. We're just bringing you in.
Well, no. If there is evidence that you were at the scene of the crime, now we're innocent. Like in this instance, the person is 100% innocent, so this isn't retaliatory. They're brought in, they're charged. We later find out they were completely innocent. That was a violation of.
Are you basing it on some sort of like definitive proof that you have?
Yeah, let's like in this hypothetical world.
Sure, if you have some type of definitive proof, then I would say that it's then absolutely. I would say that it's not even really. I mean, I could probably even categorize this as retaliatory to the crime that you committed.
Didn't commit a crime. I'm talking about an innocent person that's falsely charged. This we know that this happened.
Well, hold on, Carl. You're going into irrelevancies. No one here is arguing that somebody that at some point in time that we have reasonable suspicion that they've actually committed something based on the evidence that we have would be innocent. Nobody's saying that. I'm not saying that. I don't know why you're saying that.
No, I'm giving that as an example of a time where bodily autonomy has been violated, but we can recognize that makes sense in the system because yes.
But Carl, the thing has only been violated after the fact because now we know that they didn't do it. But before we had reasonable suspicion that they actually did do this thing. But it's that
was innocent the whole time.
We weren't violating it at the time. Is what I'm saying.
You were though because the person was.
I would not say that we were.
I would say that we were because the person was still like what? Even if you're acting on bad information, like let's say for example, like that. So do you think that like somebody cannot be violating bodily autonomy if they're acting on bad information?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that in the moment, right? If I don't know how many times like I have to explain this. I feel like we're just veering off like into irrelevancies, like so far away from abortion that it doesn't even matter. So let's just get back to what I'm talking about because we'll stay on that forever. So I can just make it really specific to your case here, right? So that'll make it like really easy for you, right? Do you believe that I have the right to coerce you personally to do something against your will?
That you should be able to force me to do so. Like, what do you mean?
Yes. Yeah. If I want to coerce you to perform an action that you don't want to perform, you have not committed. You have not committed like I don't have any suspicion that you've like murdered anybody.
Yeah. So I guess let's just for like I think it's depend on like what the action is, right? So like let's.
Okay.
So yeah, so this is an example I'll often use, right? So let's say someone's walking, they're walking down the street, right? Because I assume that you think that like bodily autonomy, absolute bodily autonomy should never be violated.
No, I don't think that. No, I don't think that.
So you do think
that's no. I don't think that at all.
Let me ask you this: like, so do you think it is or isn't okay to violate bodily autonomy, or you think sometimes it is?
Yeah, sometimes it's absolutely fine. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So what's the question then?
No, but you believe that bodily autonomy should not be violated.
No, that's not true. So yeah, okay. So let me give an example, right? So like if someone is like walking down the street, right? Or I'm sorry, not walking down the street. They're like hiking, right? And they're like hiking, and you are just another hiker. You're like 5 feet behind them, right? And they're hiking, and they're like literally like about to walk off a cliff, and like they don't see, they're like distracted or whatever. You can run up and stop them. Like you did technically just violate the bodily autonomy, but I think that's a justified usage of violence.
If you stop them from doing what? I'm sorry.
They were about to like walk off the cliff, right? They were hiking. They were about to walk off a ledge, and you run up and you grab them, right? That would be technically that's a violation of their bodily autonomy.
Yeah.
grab them. But I think it's okay.
You think it's okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that you would justify this sacrifice, right? But absolutely, like for instance, like if they wanted to walk off the cliff and then you stopped them from walking off the cliff, then yeah, you initiated aggression on them, and they could absolutely, I believe that they could absolutely like sue you in court for that.
No. In this example, the person didn't know. Like the person.
Yeah, sure. No. So this is the same thing, right? So I absolutely believe that there are some things that you have to aggress upon people, right? You have to sacrifice, or you will violate their bodily autonomy, right? Like, so for instance, say that like there's a child in a bassinet in the middle of the woods, and like wolves are coming after them, right? This child doesn't even have the faculty to understand like what bodily autonomy is. I have to initiate aggression upon them to save them. But the reason why we do that, in the same way that it's analogous to your situation you just brought up, is because we take it under the assumption that they want to live, even if they can't voice it, right? The same way of like if somebody is choking or somebody's drowning, if they can't tell us that they want to live, we take it under the assumption that they do want to live. So we would absolutely initiate aggression upon them.
No, though, even if like so, like let's say someone is like they actually do like someone's about to like jump off a bridge, right?
Yeah.
I think that should be a crime to stop. Like
Would you say? Say it. You're breaking up. Say it again.
Like let's say someone was about to jump off a bridge, like it's really they are like trying to jump off a bridge.
Yeah.
I don't think it'd be a crime to stop them. I don't like I get the arguments for like
No, that should be a crime.
State-assisted suicide.
Well, not so much. I don't know what you mean by like a crime, like as far as like going to prison. But if you're saying like you could be like maybe sued in civil court, maybe then sure. I don't know.
I would
like
say
if I have the right to kill myself. Like if you're stopping me from killing myself, then like I would say that you are like holding me hostage.
I get that argument, like I do, and like the ability, the legality of suicide is one that I will. This has nothing to do with the argument. It's an interesting question, but it has nothing to do with what we're saying. Go with your original example. Sorry.
This is why I said. This is why I said if we stay on this, like it'll go so far away from abortion. You see what I'm saying?
For sure.
Okay. So the point is, and the point that Buffalo was trying to make, right, is that like the pro-choicers like are special pleading, right? So if you're saying that this child like doesn't have like positive rights to the mother like inside the womb, but now you're saying that they do have positive rights outside the womb, it's special pleading. You can't say that, oh well, it's all about bodily autonomy, it doesn't even matter if it's a person or not from conception, right? You're saying this person does not have the right to violate this mother's bodily autonomy, but the bodily autonomy is still going to be used whether it's inside or outside of the womb, right? Same things like when he was talking about like feeding your child. So feeding your child, and you were not understanding what he was saying either, because you're saying, well, if a mother wants to feed her child, it's not against her bodily autonomy, right? What he was trying to tell you was that this mother doesn't want to feed her child. She's like, nope, I don't want to feed my child. Can you allow or should we coerce this woman into feeding her child, or should she have the right to starve her child? But this is against her bodily autonomy.
Yeah, so I think if we know that there is a like parent that is like not feeding their child, I think the child should be taken away from that parent.
No, but okay, so should she be coerced into like sacrificing her bodily autonomy to feed her child?
No, I just don't think that the child should be in the hands of that person at all. Like I think that I don't think that like we should have like a cop there making sure.
No, hold on. That's not what I'm asking. So I'm asking, right? If this woman is not feeding her child and her child dies, right? Should she be held to any type of like legal consequence?
Sure.
Why?
Yeah, I think that she like had accepted, like she hadn't given the child up for adoption when she had the option to, and like
that's against her bodily autonomy too.
How's that against her bodily autonomy?
Because she has to use her body to reach out to these people, and she doesn't want to do it.
I mean, yeah, that would be like saying that like you have to use your body to like an abortion clinic.
Yes, anything. Yeah. If you have to use your body in a way that you don't want to do and someone else is coercing you to do it, that's a violation of your bodily autonomy. That's why I don't die on this bodily autonomy hill, right? Pro-choicers generally do. I don't.
Like I don't either. Like I think that bodily autonomy is a value. I think it is a value. It's not an absolute value, but I think it is a value, right? And so I think that we can recognize that like, yeah, there's a difference between like you must take care of the child forever and you have to take care of the child for like a couple days until you can give it up to adoption. So like I think we can recognize that there's
right. But then you would just like concede that bodily autonomy is not like, well, you'd have to concede on bodily autonomy not being like absolute, which I think you said earlier that bodily autonomy is not absolute. But this is what you'd have to do. But more specifically, what you'd have to do is you would have to substantiate your claim as to why the child cannot violate the autonomy inside the womb, but can outside the womb, because this would be like special pleading.
Yeah. So let me, I guess, clarify what I'm saying, right? So I don't think that like the child is violating the bodily autonomy by like needing to be fed outside of the womb. That's not like a violation of the autonomy. Now you could say the state is violating, I guess, if you're saying that it's a requirement that you have to feed your child, but the child's not violating because the child's not making you do it. It would be the
No, I'm
state
not.
is making you.
No, I never said that it was specific to the child. If I did that, I didn't
So,
mean to say that. I'm just saying that her autonomy is being violated no matter what.
so yeah, so I don't think that. So let's say if we want to use this language, right? Because it sounds like we're trying to be very precise. Yeah. So if you have to wait, I guess, a couple days before you can like give the child up for adoption, I guess you could say that that's a violation of bodily autonomy. But I would say on the spectrum, because I do think it's a spectrum. It's not an absolute value. It's just a value. I'd say that yeah, that's a trade-off that we can make.
No, okay, so you didn't. Okay, so Carl, I'm not trying to be. I'm not trying to be rude, Carl. I'm not trying to be. I'm not trying to be rude. But you literally were just. But you were just talking, and you didn't actually answer my question. So.
What's the exact question? I don't even think what is the question you're asking?
Okay. So, can you substantiate your claim as to why the mother's autonomy is being violated inside of the womb, but it's not being violated outside of the womb?
Okay. Yeah. So I don't think we disagreed that it's being violated. We literally just established that, like, yeah, if you have to wait a couple days to like give your child for adoption, that is a violation of autonomy.
How about wait a couple of months and then like birth your child?
Yeah, I
like
don't
it's like I'm telling you, like it's logically equivalent.
I don't think it is, because I do think time is a factor. I don't think there's any circumstance.
Okay. How much time?
Huh?
How much time?
Yeah, so I think that this is definitely a spectrum, right? So let's say this is a day. We can say that a day is different than 9 months, right?
I would say that they're logically equivalent. Like, what's the difference?
Yeah, so like let's say like someone is like
how are you arbitrarily coming up with 24 hours?
So I think that just because something is arbitrary doesn't mean that it's useful, right? So I think the speed limits, right, I think are somewhat arbitrary, but I do think they can still be useful, right?
No, but when we're talking about as time as a factor to like your principle, then yeah, I would say it's arbitrary. Unless you can substantiate. I mean, this claim is on you, really, right? Because you're making this claim that it's fine. So like, just to substantiate it.
Like no, I don't disagree that it's arbitrary. I just think that just because something's arbitrary doesn't mean that it's wrong, right?
No, I didn't say that.
Let's use it as a provocative example, perhaps, but I think that the age of consent is a arbitrary thing. 18, that is arbitrary number. We picked that number. We didn't say 18 years and 1 day. We said 18 years exactly. That is arbitrary. But I still think that it makes sense to have an age of consent. We shouldn't not have one just because it's arbitrary.
Yeah, but there's actually like logical reasoning like behind why we have age of consent. It's generally based off of what the fuck do you call it? Like moral moral agency, right? So it's based on like things like moral agency, like when you have generally the ability to understand like the complexities of like right and wrong, not just like basic right and wrong when you're 5, but like the complexities of like right and wrong. So and generally that's like around the age of like 15 or 16, but we have it as like 18 just to kind of like be sure.
Sure, yeah, of course, and I'm sure that there are people that are 19 that don't fully understand.
Oh, I agree.
But like, it's an arbitrary number, but I still think it's useful. Just because something's arbitrary doesn't mean that we shouldn't have it. I think that's
right. But here's the difference. Carl.
Sure.
Like, you and I just came up with logical reasoning as to why this number makes sense. You have not substantiated why it makes sense in your arbitrary. Oh well, a day is okay, but 9 months isn't okay. If a day is okay, how about 7 days? Like, how about 7 weeks? How about 7 months?
Right. So we said the standard, right, with the consent was when it comes to like complexity, being able to understand this complexity. With the other instance, it's violation of bodily autonomy, right? We can understand that is a value that's being violated in that circumstance. Now, to what degree are we okay with it being violated? I think a couple days. I think that's reasonable. 9 months.
A couple days is reasonable for someone like violating your property, and then you can kill them.
Violating your property. I'm sorry.
Yeah, bodily autonomy is based off the axiom of self-ownership.
Sure. Let's go with that, right? I think it's weird when people say self-ownership, like thinking of people as property, but sure. I'm referring to though the idea that like So when I say a couple days, I'm talking about a parent waiting to give their child up for adoption. If that takes a couple days.
No, that's not what I'm saying. So inside of the womb, why exactly does a mother have the right to kill them?
Yeah, so I think it's the right to remove, right? So like this is why I draw my line at viability outside the womb. So like because when the fetus is viable, you can remove it without killing it. I think you should opt into the non-lethal option.
Why?
Because like I said, I think that life is a value. I think that just like bodily autonomy is a value, I also think that life is a value. Now sometimes these values can contradict one another. I think we have lots
Okay.
of values, and these values can often contradict. And so it's
Are you just saying because you think it's a person at like viability?
I think it's a life 100%. I think personhood, I think, is a little more. I would say, yeah, I generally consider my line for like individual personhood, viability outside the womb. But
Or
there's
like
no
rights? You think that they have like rights at like 24 weeks? Is what you're saying?
say it again.
Are you saying that they have rights at 24 weeks?
Yeah, I mean, I think that they have like I guess limited rights. I think that obviously someone doesn't have all of their rights the second that they're born, in the sense that like you don't have the right to go drive when you're born. So I think that it's something that comes on kind of a sliding scale, but you have more rights, I suppose.
Yeah, but those are just rights that you can't like actually like you wouldn't be able to like actualize the ability to like exercise that right, but like all rights are generally the same. It's just the right not to be unjustly aggressed upon. But okay, so you're saying that they generally have rights at 24 weeks. That's why you must remove them, I'm assuming, by like gentlest means. Is that what you're talking about?
No, it's not even 24 weeks. I mean, if this is science hasn't figured out a way to do this yet, but if you could remove a fetus without killing it at 3 weeks, I say you should do that instead of killing it.
Okay,
Just,
so that they don't have a okay,
well,
so
let
just
me
being
parallel.
go
I
ahead.
life is something we value. So like if you're walking down the street and if you can avoid like stepping on a flower, like I think you should probably avoid the flower. Like you shouldn't kill the flower if you can.
Why?
Yeah, because I personally value life.
Why?
Yeah, I don't think that this is like it's just an inherent value, right? So like you can say that we shouldn't value life, but I think that we should.
You're like a vegan?
I'm not a vegan, but I think vegans are right, if that makes sense.
So you're
Like
okay with like
I
so
don't have
you're
the
okay
moral,
with okay.
I don't have the moral
Okay.
fortitude.
This is why I didn't understand. I was like, so if you can avoid stepping on a flower, then you shouldn't step on a flower because it's life, but you can totally avoid eating meat, but you choose to eat meat.
No, I think so. Yeah, yeah. Like my sister's a vegan. I've had these conversations with her. I think she's right. Like, yeah, we should be killing animals. Like, I think in 100 years we're gonna look back probably on eating animals as like being pretty wrong. But I personally don't have the moral fortitude to not eat meat.
Okay. All right, whatever.
Well, no,
So
we
okay.
do recognize that
So
like life has value, even if you're not a vegan. Like, you don't think we should just like arbitrarily kill animals, right?
what no, I'm absolutely fine with that. Animals don't have rights.
Wait. So, like, do you think it's okay if someone like tortures a puppy or something?
Do I think it's okay? I don't think it's moral, but I think that they have the right to do it.
So yeah, so like you don't think so you found out that like there's like a person that's like torturing puppies in their like basement. You don't think the cops should stop that?
I would say that it's immoral. I would say that it's in their right to do so.
Do you think the cops should stop them from torturing the puppies?
If it's in their right to do so, then why would I think that the cops should stop them?
Oh, okay, all right. I think that that's not good.
Well, hold
Okay.
on. What do you think? Hold on. What do you think that we do to like cows, Carl? Like
No,
we lit. So hold on. What do you think that we do to cows and all of the shit that you eat? We literally sodomize them, right? We force them into breeding, and then we eat their children. Like I don't think that you can stand on like some moral high ground and say, oh well, what about torturing puppies? Like we
what,
do the same shit. Do you think that we don't torture the animals that we eat, Carl?
I agree though. I do think that like vegan ethics is like correct, but I think that like in that sense though, if somebody is just arbitrarily torturing puppies in their basement, then yeah, we should stop that.
So wait, so it's only okay to torture animals if we're going to eat them, but it's not okay to torture them if we're not going to eat them. Why would
No,
that matter?
I do think that like eating animals is like likely wrong, and that like probably shouldn't be.
So why do you continue to do it?
Yeah, I mean, there are lots of. I think that child labor is also wrong. We're talking on via a smartphone though.
Okay,
Like, do you
you could
think?
choose. You could choose not to.
I know we could choose not to, but I do recognize that there's a certain element of the society. Like, do you think that child labor is okay, or like slave labor is okay?
No, no. Hold on. Don't dodge my question, Carl. So if
But
if you're saying that vegans are right and you shouldn't eat animals, and it's very easy for you just not to eat animals, why would you just not eat animals?
yeah, so it probably should, to try to like slowly limit my meat intake, over time. But I personally don't yet. I do enjoy meat, just like a smartphone. Like, do you think that it's okay? Like, slave labor is okay? I would assume that you would say obviously not. Yet we are all using phones that were like
Slave labor is okay? No, I don't believe that slave labor is okay. But they'd have to like definitively prove that like the thing that I'm using is funded via slave labor. If they
but
could do that, then maybe. But if you're talking about child labor specifically, like child labor, I think is okay to an extent.
the mining of cobalt that is used in the Congo, right? That goes to the vast majority of our cell phones. We can say
Yeah,
with a quite certainty that that was used with
I have no idea. I've never looked into it.
exactly. But if it was, let's say you found out that it was, would you ditch your smartphone?
If I found out that what was,
That your smart or any product that you use, like your smartphone, your laptop, whatever it is,
if I found out what,
that it was utilized doing like slave labor.
if it was utilized during slave labor, would I ditch my smartphone? I don't think that we would have to. It depends,
But the,
right? So like maybe you would ditch your smartphone, sure, but I think like instead of ditching the smartphone itself, I think that like the bigger thing would be to go after the people that are like enslaving these individuals.
yes, this is. I mean, this is the classic. Like, oh, you think we should do something about climate change, but you still drive a car, and so it's like, yeah, I think that a lot of this stuff needs to be tackled at a systemic level.
Okay, sure, fine. All right, so going forward. Okay, so fuck, what were we doing? I don't even see. This is why I hate getting on these side things, man. So why were we talking about animals? You brought up something about a flower, and then I went off of the flower.
I was saying that. Oh, well, because I said that. Yeah, I said that life has value. I used the flower. Maybe I should.
Oh, life. Okay, I remember. So you said 24 weeks. Okay.
But
So
if,
you said it 24 weeks. All right, hold on. Let's
left off the flower example. If you're driving your car, right, and you're
no,
about
hold on, Carl. I remember where we were. So let's
to,
instead of going off on other tangents here.
okay.
Okay, so you said at 24 weeks, that's when you need to safely remove, or whenever you would say they are viable, quote unquote viable, whatever the hell that means, viable outside of the womb.
Yeah, so like when so if the fetus is viable at 7 weeks and you can
Okay.
safely, yeah, okay, yeah.
Okay, so then a mother does not have the right to kill them at that point.
Yeah, like I said, yeah, I think it's less about the right to kill and more about the right to say I don't want this to be me. It's more about like saying it doesn't have to be dependent on you anymore.
No, I understand. I understand. But you're saying that they don't have a right to kill, that they only have a right to remove.
Yeah, I say that that is the heart of it. It's just that prior to viability, the only option you have is a lethal one.
The only option you have is a lethal one. Okay. So I'm trying to figure this out because it's the gentlest way to remove it.
Not gentlest. Like I could be wrong here, but at 5 weeks there is not a way to remove a fetus without killing it.
Right, I understand.
Am I wrong
I
on that?
understand. Oh, okay, that's fine. So at 24 weeks, why do you believe that that's what makes you like deserving of rights?
Yeah, like I said, I think this is like a sliding scale. I think that like it's not that the like rights like magically kick in at that point. I'm saying that
Okay.
if you could do it at 2 weeks, yeah, then safely remove it at 2 weeks. Like I don't think we should
Okay.
arbitrarily kill things.
Okay. So then you would just okay. So then do you agree that like rights could like begin at conception?
The rights could begin if there was a way to like remove a zygote without killing it. Yeah,
No, but this is what I'm saying. Like your standard for rights is based upon if you can like I guess live without someone else or not.
not quite right. So it's more of just like I think that like so your body right, your bodily dependence. Like I don't think that you should have to have this inside of you if you don't want it inside of you. So I think that you can remove it. If the only way to remove it is by killing it, that's the only option.
If the only way to remove something, okay, even if it was a person. So can I operate like even if it was a person?
Sure. So we can do like this example of like say let's say a woman consents to sex, right? There's someone inside of her now, and
Okay.
then she says I don't want you inside of me anymore. The person doesn't do it. She refuses to stop, and so I think that she has the right to use lethal force to get him to stop.
You're talking about someone who's SAing her?
Yeah,
You're equating SA to like a child in the womb?
I'm trying to use an example. Let's not like get too provocative of what I'm saying. I'm simply saying that like if the only option available to you to get something to stop violating your bodily autonomy is violence.
Okay. All right,
And
fine. That's fine. That's fine. Okay. And what's the time factor?
what's the time factor?
Yeah.
So let me ask you. So like, what are you saying?
Okay. So let's say that someone shoves like a child, since you're using like SA. So let's say that someone shoves a child in this woman's arms, right? And she's holding this child and she only has two options. She can either drop the child and it will smash its head on the ground and crack its head open and die, or she can choose to safely remove or I'm sorry, safely put down the child, but she can't do it for I don't know, 2 minutes. Do you think she should have the right to drop the child?
I think she should wait the 2 minutes.
I understand that you think she should wait. I'm asking you if you think she should have the right to drop the child.
Yeah, I don't think that she should. Like, if she just like is handed the child, and then
Yes.
like I don't want to carry this anymore.
Against her will. She didn't consent.
Sure. Yeah. So yeah, you can say that. Yeah, she shouldn't drop that child. No.
Okay, so she should not have the right to drop that child.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Sure.
Okay, so instead of 2 minutes, let's say it was 2 hours, and somehow she could keep her arms up. Do you think she should be able to do that? Do you think she should be able to drop the child now?
Why can't she put like what is the analogy here? I guess.
The analogy is just time, right? So like
Sure.
we're trying to figure out like what the time, but not even the time. Hold on. It's not even strictly time, right? Because you're saying that someone cannot violate your bodily autonomy. If you want them off of your body, then you can remove them, right? And I'm trying to figure out what that time is. So I'm telling you right now that this child is violating. Hold on, let me finish. That this child is violating her bodily autonomy. She doesn't want to be holding this child any longer. But you're saying that she must wait a certain period of time if that is an option. So I would obviously just drag it. Hold on. I would obviously just drag it back to abortion, that she must wait this period of time and she cannot kill it.
Yeah, wait, but like, okay, if she has to wait like a year, I think that yeah, she could say she doesn't want to hold it anymore.
Okay, so it's sometime between 2 hours and a year. So like, where is it? Where's the cutoff?
Yeah, I think that I think the cutoff is that the soonest possible, right? When you could no
It's
longer.
A year. It's a year. This is as soon as possible.
Oh, okay,
I changed it from 2 hours to a year. So you're saying that she can drop it now?
Otherwise, she just has to like stay there for a year
Yeah,
holding
assume
it.
assume that like we could say anything. We could say that it's like strapped to her chest, right? Whatever, or we could like operate under the assumption that somehow she could just fucking hold it up and still go about her day, right? It doesn't really matter. The only thing that matters is that she must hold it on her person for a year.
I think yeah, you should be able to not hold it anymore.
Okay, so she can, and then the only option is to like drop it and it dies. Okay, all right. So sometime between 2 hours and a year. So what about 6 months?
6 months. Yeah, I think you should be able to.
Okay, 4 months.
Yeah, I mean, frankly, this is a weird example because like I feel like my time.
That's what I'm telling you, right? Is the time is arbitrary, bro. Like it's just logically equivalent. Like you're not going to be able to substantiate like anywhere between 2 hours and 9 months or a year.
Wait, no. Like I feel like if this is the gotcha that it's arbitrary, I don't disagree. I already said that arbitrary. Just because something's arbitrary doesn't mean that it's wrong.
No, I understand that it doesn't mean that it's wrong, Carl, but you haven't substantiated why you believe that it's right at that time.
But I already said that I think that it is somewhat arbitrary. I think that it's a matter of balancing the wanting to protect life with bodily autonomy.
Okay, so just tell me a time. So what's the time? How do you know that 9 months is too long, but 2 hours is too short?
Yeah, so where I'm coming into it from is that once the viability is achieved, I think that is the perfect balance, right? Because then,
no, hold on, we're not talking about viability. No, Carl, we're not talking about viability because remember, we're operating based on the fact that it is a like person with rights at conception, that viability doesn't matter. You already agreed to that for this analogy. So for this analogy, it's a person at conception. So I'm asking you, like, what is the time?
The reason why viability matters in my mind is because, like, so if you're saying it's like a person before viability, that's what I'm saying. So like once viability is achieved, then you can remove it safely. And so that's where I think you find that balance. I'm saying, how do we balance the need between life and bodily autonomy? I think that the balance is at viability outside the womb. That's where you find that balance.
No, but Carl, okay, a couple of things. One, we already operated under the assumption that it was just a person. It doesn't matter if it was at viability. But two, even if you were talking about that viability as a factor, you haven't. Hold on. You keep interrupting me. Hold on. You haven't substantiated why viability like makes you deserving of rights.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I think you're missing what I'm saying, right? So yeah,
I just don't think you're saying it.
Even if you think it's a person at conception, right? Let's say you think that's a person, right? It's still not viable at that point, right?
No, but that doesn't matter to me. It matters to you, but you haven't substantiated why it matters.
I'm trying to explain to you where I'm coming from. So like, even though let's say you think a zygote is a person, it's still not viable. Like we can agree on that, right?
Sure.
Okay,
well,
yeah.
It depends on like what you mean by viable, but sure.
Viable in the sense like fetal viability, that it can live outside the womb.
That it can live outside the womb.
Yeah,
sure. I guess sure. I find like viability to be like really subjective to each individual person of how they define viability. But just basing it off of like what I think that you're saying, sure, yeah.
Okay, I mean, we can look up like the scientific definition.
No, it's fine. Sure, yeah, fine.
Yeah. And so, like I guess the example that you gave, where you're like physically holding a baby, right?
Yeah.
So, like, I guess in that circumstance, it wouldn't be quote unquote viable until I think what you gave was a year, right? It wouldn't be viable until a year because that's when you could safely drop it.
Then we could safely remove it. Yeah, sure.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that was the thing. I think it would be fairly unreasonable to force someone to, because also I guess that would be more analogous to like SA. Like, are you against abortion in SA example?
Yeah, I used it for your essay example because you brought it up.
Oh well, no. The example with the SA was just that if like that was an example where lethal force can be utilized to like stop someone from violating your bodily autonomy.
Sure.
Which I'm
so hold on. Would this change if someone didn't force a child into her arms and she just like chose to pick up this child? Would it change your mind?
Yeah. So like, let's say she chose to pick up the child, right? She immediately drop it if she doesn't want to hold it anymore.
The only thing that she could do is that she could drop it and it dies, or she can wait 9 months.
Yeah, I think that she probably now 9 months. I don't think she's gonna have to wait 9 months, right?
Even though she chose to pick up this child, she's not responsible.
Yeah, to like hold like this like for 9 months. I think that'd be unreasonable.
No, it's just like strapped to her person in some way. Like you don't have. It doesn't have to be like ultra specific, right? I'm just testing your principle.
Yeah, like with the principle, right? And so, like, obviously, I'm gonna say yes. So because that's the whole point of what I'm saying, right? Is that so? And I think that we can agree. Like, I think it's weird that you don't think that like time is like a factor, right?
No. Hold on. I'm saying that the time is logically equivalent. You are saying that somehow the time is a factor, but you haven't at any point here. Like I've asked you multiple times. Hold on, Carl. I've asked you multiple times to substantiate your claim as to when this time cutoff is, and you are not able to give me this. The only thing that you said. Hold on. Let me finish, and then you can respond. Hold on. Let me finish, Carl. Let me finish, and then you can respond, buddy.
I think
Carl, you keep cutting off every time that I'm talking anyway, so they can't hear you, right? So hold on. So let me finish, and then you can respond. So what I'm telling you is that if you're saying that 2 hours is too short a time to let this child go or to unstrap it from your person or whatever, right? But 9 months is too long, then somewhere in between there is like your cutoff. I want to know when that is, and I want to know why that is.
Yeah, and so I gave the why was viability, and so I want to give you an example of where I also think that you would.
Bruh. Viability has nothing to do with this.
It does. That's my reason. That's my cutoff. You're asking.
Bruh.
Wait, but I'm gonna give you this because you say time is like irrelevant, and so like I'm gonna give you an example, right? So I'm sure you've seen those like crazy videos where like the people like will like hold someone off a cliff.
Sure.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, you've seen those videos, right? And let's say that like they do this, right? And the plan was that they were gonna drop the person and they were gonna fall into.
I think you're going back to like an old video that I made, but go ahead.
I don't think I've ever seen your videos, but that's okay. That's okay. If you did a video on this, I'm curious to hear your response. So yeah. So let's say that, like they were holding. You've seen those videos where they'll like hold someone off. It's like crazy. I don't know why they do that, but like let's say they do, and like they were gonna hold it for like 5 minutes, and then they were gonna like drop them off, so that they could like fall into a trampoline. And let's say they do it, and they're about to drop them off, but the trampoline's not there, and that now it's either they're gonna hold them for, let's say it's a day. They have to hold them for a day.
And for some reason, like they could hold them for a day, like in this hypothetical.
Well, let's say that there could be a chance that that things could give up, that their body could give out, and they could also fall out. Just like there's a chance that you could die in pregnancy, right? So there's a chance.
Yeah,
we don't know. We don't know, even if you think it's a small chance. And let's say an enormous amount of wear to their body, right? Their shoulders, maybe their shoulders going to be messed. This amount of wear to their body, right? Their shoulders, maybe their shoulders going to be messed up for the rest of their life if they do. Like, do you think that they should be have to hold them like forever? Would you see that there's at any point where it would be reasonable for the person to drop them?
Yeah, to make it equivalent to like pregnancy, if you were saying like 9 months or whatever you're gonna say, well, there's a difference between like forever, right? Because forever is final. Like if you're saying somewhere like between now and forever, okay, sure. But like okay, so for one, we're assuming that somehow they could hold them up for whatever period of time, right? But you're saying that there's going to be like wear on them and that there is a chance that they will die.
Yeah, let's say that there's a chance that they'll die. They might lose.
Like a 0.02% chance, then no, I would say absolutely not.
Yeah, so let's say that there's like if they drop them like right away, then there'll be no damage to their shoulder. They'll have no chance. But if they hold for 9 months,
I understand. Yeah, I understand. So it would have to. So in order to like enact something like self-defense or something where you could somehow argue that your life was in danger at that time, it would have to be imminent, right? So it would have to be like immediately in that time. Like if for some reason like you could not physically hold them up anymore and you were falling over, like at that point, okay, sure. But I also think that I don't know, like this is super weird anyway, like going up there to do that. But yeah, sure. If you want to claim like that you are in imminent danger right there. Sure. But if you were saying, well,
Let
I
me
don't think that I'm going to,
but
hold on, let me
how
finish. I don't think that I'm going to be able to hold them up like 10 days from now. So because I can't hold them up 10 days from now, I can drop them today. I'd be like,
I'm
no, you murdered them.
I'm what I'm
Or
trying to
not
get at
murder them,
from
but you
you
killed them.
is the idea that time it can be relevant in these decisions. And so like you said, okay, if it's imminent, what does imminent like? How imminent does it have to be for it to be a
Like
factor?
immediately.
So like if there's a 90% chance versus 80%, like what's the percent that
Well,
matters?
if it was immediately. So like if you're saying that somehow we had like some type of thing to determine like if if you were going to die, I guess like you just has to be like beyond reasonable, right? So like for instance, like
But
if somebody is holding like a gun at your face, right? This is like imminent danger. Now I don't know exactly if they're going to kill me, right? But I can take it under the circumstances that I'm in that I have a very high likelihood of dying like right now.
sure, but I'm sure that you would also recognize like, but that's what I'm saying though. So like you're saying imminent, and so you gave a percentage. You said like
It
one
has
to
to
two.
be it has to be imminent and like potentially fatal. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, imminent. But like that, I know, but like you, so you're saying 1 to 2% chance. That's not okay. But like
No,
you gave
if
an
you want to,
example, 99% chance. Like, is there any wiggle room in between there between the 1 to 2% and 99%? Like, if it's 60% chance you might die, is it okay then?
if there's what
If there's a 60% chance that you'll die, is it okay then?
60% chance that I'll die by what holding this person over,
Yeah, sure.
like in the moment, like it's imminent, like right now.
No, it's not imminent. It's you have to hold them for 9 months.
60% chance when? 60% chance 12 days from now, or 60% chance right now?
That's the thing. Is that like there is a
That's why it
60.
matters. Like that's what I'm saying, Carl. Just because something will have a 60% chance of killing you, like 12 days from now, does not mean that I can kill you today. I
So
can't
like
claim self-defense.
so the decision that like you make is going to determine whether or not you die. Like I don't see like what the
No,
distinction is.
I don't think that you're understanding what I'm saying, right? So, like, you cannot claim like self-defense in any way because that's what it seems like you're talking about. You cannot
It's
claim self-defense. So then, what are you claiming?
no one's pressing on you. This is not self defense.
So then, what are you talking about?
I'm talking about like so you're saying that like you said so when I brought up the fact that the person might die, you said, well, if it's only 1 to 2% chance, you're like, I don't care. And so I said, if it's 99% chance, you said it's okay. Why is it okay if it's
No, no,
99?
no. That's not what I said. That's not what I said. So, so while I did say that, hold on. While I did say that,
You did.
what I said was, well, hold on, but it's you're leaving out context, right? So while I did say that, yeah, if it's a 0.02% chance that you will die, then yeah, that's not high enough. But what I said and why I backed that up was that it's not an imminent threat to you, right? So it'd have to be two things. It would have to be imminent, right? And if somehow you knew that someone was going to cause you um this harm, well, it has to be contextual on a couple of things too, because it's not just another person, right? This is a child, right? Child is not a moral agent, so that's one thing, right? It's completely innocent. It didn't choose to be there. In your scenario, this person actually chose to be in this state of like fucking danger, right? So this child did not choose to be in this danger. I think that you and I can both agree. It's also she also has like parental obligation over this individual because it's biologically hers. In no way, shape, or form could it be anyone else's, besides obviously the father. But I don't even have to talk about like biological like obligation because you probably wouldn't care. I can just focus. I can just focus on the fact that that it's there due to circumstances that were not of its own, right?
Wait,
So it didn't cause itself to be there.
are you okay with abortion in the instance where the life of the mother is at like risk? Like they know that the mother will die. Are you okay with
It
abortion
would
in
have
that?
to be imminent. It would have to be imminent and potentially fatal. Sure.
But like, if you're saying though that the mother chose it, right? Like you're saying the mother chose to get pregnant. Like, why would like based on your framework, why
Yeah.
would you think it's okay to kill like what you're describing as an innocent life because of a
Right. Sure, because it wasn't a rights violation, right? So the zygote didn't exist for it to initiate for the mother to initiate aggression upon it, right? It being dependent on her is just like a what's the word? It's just like a consequence of its creation.
okay?
But
So
she didn't actually do that, so that's why it's not a rights violation. So hold on, let me finish, Carl. You always fucking interrupt me when I'm like responding. So hold on. So so hold on. So that's why it's not a rights violation, right? Which is also why I hold this position both inside and outside of the womb. Like children, do not have the positive claim to their mother's or father's like physical being, meaning like they don't a mother does not have to sacrifice her life for her child, her physical life, right? I think that most parents would and should feel that way, but they're not required to.
Okay, like so what I was gonna ask is that like I remember they used to say this, but it sounds like you don't say this anymore. Is that like your line used to be like you force the fetus into a state of dependency. You don't say that anymore.
I don't say that anymore now.
Okay, can I ask why?
Well, because you can't really initiate force upon a non-existing thing. Like it being
That
dependent
would,
on you is just like a cause of creation. So it's not the same thing.
okay, that would have been what I would have said to that because I always wanted to ask you about that. But okay, all right. Okay, I don't know where we go from here.
Okay, so this is the point, right? So the point is that one, you haven't substantiated why viability makes gives you rights. Can you just substantiate why?
It's not a matter of it giving rights, and like that's the thing is that like I don't think that like it's not like, oh, the second you're born you have all the same rights as like, because yeah, like as you already said that like like a baby doesn't have all the same rights as like a fully grown person because like
Well, no,
the
they
baby
do
like
have the same rights. No, Carl. Actually, I would argue that they have more rights, right? So children have like positive rights to their guardians. Do you know what positive rights are, Carl?
yeah, of course they do. Okay, I guess when I said yeah, so let's say they have different rights, right? They have the right, yeah, so, sure, for the
I
for
would say that
someone.
they have. I would say that they have more rights.
So I would say that they have more rights in one sense, but they also, like I said before, like I don't think that like a 5-year-old should be able to drive. I don't think they should have the right to drive.
Well, hold on. The right that like every person has is just the right not to be unjustly aggressed upon, right? So um, if you are under guardianship of someone else, right, then they have positive rights to the guardian, but because they have positive rights to the guardian must operate in a way that protects this individual, like protects this child. So no, like I would agree with you that they shouldn't be, generally speaking, doing this. But like that's the same way of saying like, okay, well, a 10-year-old can't do this either, right? But like
But
I think
agree.
we can make generalizations, but hold on. I think we can make generalizations, but then we could also say that there might be exceptions to some rule. Like if there's like a 10-year-old like genius, right? Obviously like they can graduate college, right? So and like so on and so forth. So I think that generally speaking, sure, but I think that you could make exceptions based on like moral agency.
There are 10-year-olds that have like driven tractors on their farm before. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Generally speaking, I wouldn't hand out licenses to 10-year-olds, right? But like if somehow like they could prove that they had like the mental fortitude to do something, um, maybe. But I'd also like go into like I don't know, like what's it called when you're like 14 or 15 and you want to like get away from your parents? What's that called? Yeah, like I would say that you might have to have like some emancipation going on to prove that like you can do all of these things of your own free volition. But yeah.
Okay. Okay. So like, just to bring it back to that. So like, you said, why haven't I substantiated that rights begin at viability? That's not, I guess, what my claim is. My claim is simply that once viability is achieved, now you no longer have to kill the fetus to remove it. That's I'm not saying that. I'm
Yeah,
not.
but why does that matter? But why does that matter? So this is why it shouldn't matter to you either way, Carl. Because this entire argument is based on when do rights begin and why do they begin there. You haven't told me. You told me when they. Well, actually, no. You haven't even really told me when rights. Excuse me, when rights begin or why they are there. Because if this thing doesn't have rights, then there's nothing that we can't do to it, right? So if it doesn't have rights up until 24 weeks, or if it doesn't have rights up until birth, then anything that they do to this thing is just, right? There's nothing that you can do to enforce upon them. So that's why it's important for you to understand when rights begin and why they begin there. You haven't been able to say why.
I think that this comes from the framework where you have to think of rights in this like absolute framework where it's either they exist or they don't, and there's nothing like that's not.
Correct.
Yeah, that's not how I operate. Like I said, with the examples that I gave, that I think that there is, we value life. I know this isn't satisfying for you, but I do think that like life is something that we value. I think that personhood. So like when you talk about individual personhood, what is the best like I guess line to draw for that? I know some people say conception because that's when there's the
Yo,
unique.
Carl, real quick, you got to answer the question. They asked you how much you bench, bro.
How much do I bench? I have no idea how much I
They
bench.
said they said they said that in the comments, man.
I don't bench as much as Tyler. That's what I'm gonna say. Um, I bench as much as you do.
Oh man.
But no, I think that the rights, the, So like do you think that rights are like what you call it? Are like objective, right? You don't think that like you don't, for example, you don't think people should have positive rights?
No, I told you that. Like, so positive rights do exist, in a couple of ways. So positive rights exist from like children to their parents. Positive rights also exist for like contractual agreements. So like, if you and I went into like some type of contractual agreement, and you said that I had the right to whatever the thing is that you're offering me, then yeah, I have a right to that. Now you can break that contract, and then I'd fucking sue you, right? But like, yeah, so positive rights can exist, sure.
Okay, I guess I was getting more at the idea of like your right to a trial, or like I think that healthcare should be a right. It's not currently a right in our country, but I think it should be a right. Like you don't think that we should have that kind of stuff, right?
Right, because it's based off of like the axiom of like property rights and self ownership. Like it's based off of self ownership, which is like property rights. Um, so yeah, I mean, but then we get into another conversation that's like off of abortion again.
Yeah, that's not what I'm trying to go for. I was just kind of trying to make the point that like for me, rights are something that like we can create more rights. We can, I think that healthcare as a right is something that I think that.
Well, Carl, what do you think a right is?
Yeah, so I know that you're going to draw a distinction between negative and positive rights.
No, that's not what I'm going to do.
Like,
no, just what is a right?
Yeah, I don't think there's any. So it's something that you have. Oh gosh, like how do you want me to describe this? Like what you have?
I want you to describe it how you think you know it is.
Something that you either have a right to or a right to do, right?
No. Like what is the essence of a right? Like what is it?
Yeah, so something that you ethically, right? Ethically, we'll use the word ethically. Ethically can do, ethically can't do, ethically should have, ethically shouldn't have, right? How about that? Let me ask you, what answer are you looking for?
Okay, like, so rights, so rights are like enforceable moral claims, right? So like morality itself is subjective because it's specific to the individual itself of how they want to live their life, like what they believe like living their life well is, or what's good or bad, which is individual to them, right? For instance, like I would say that it's immoral to cheat on your spouse, but I don't say that it should be illegal to cheat on your spouse, right? Because it's not they don't have like some type of right to you. So yeah, rights are definitely objective, but morality is individual and subjective. But hold on, let me finish here. So like a right is an enforceable moral claim. So it can be moral, but it's enforceable. So your own individual morals aren't necessarily enforceable, but like rights would be.
Yeah, I disagree that rights are objective in that way, because like to imply that they're objective, like there's not some like stone tablet out somewhere that has all of our rights. This is I feel like what the implication is when you say that it's subjective. Like where does this objectivity come from?
Well, it doesn't have to actually come from anywhere. So this is like just like in a straight like appeal to authority fallacy, right? So like something doesn't have to come from like another individual or a deity or whatever to realize that they do exist.
No, it doesn't have to come from a deity, but it would have to come from somewhere. Like where does this objectivity come from?
So yeah, rights are just like a fact of reality.
Okay, but I'm saying what makes them objective?
What do you mean? What makes them objective?
Like, so you're saying this is like objective, right? So like I can like objectively say that there's like this gravity. Like if I
jump. Yeah, hold on. Do you not think that you don't think that rights are objective?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's subjective.
Okay. So very easy, Carl. So do you think that it is objectively immoral for someone to be essayed?
So yeah. So when you say objective, right?
Objective.
So like that's what I'm asking. Where does this objectivity come from? I think it's immoral. You think it's immoral, I hope.
Right. But do you think okay, but this is when it comes to rights, right? So when it comes to rights, it's not just based off of like what the majority thinks. These things are objective. So it doesn't matter like to me what part of the globe you are on, right? What city or country or town or whatever, it is always going to be objectively against someone's rights to their own person, to their self-ownership, to violate their body in that way. But now, if you are saying, hold on. If you are saying that this is not objectively true, right, then we're going to get into like really weird things and like really weird hills to die on to say that, okay, well, it's not actually against your rights over here for someone to violate you. So your rights aren't actually being violated.
I'm not a moral relativist, but I recognize that these aren't objective things. These are things that we're deciding.
Okay, well, then what makes that objective then?
I don't think it's objective.
Okay, so you don't think that is against someone's right objectively to be essayed.
Where does the objectivity come from?
Just answer me yes or no.
Yeah, so I think that it is against someone's right to be essayed, right? Obviously, everybody.
But is that objectively true?
So that's what I'm saying. Where does that objectivity come from?
Carl. Carl. Listen.
Wait, why can't you tell me? Wait, if you're saying it's objective, this means that
I told you that that rights are just an objective part of reality, right? So your right to self-ownership is objectively true. It's axiomatic. It's self-evident, right? That you have the right to your person. Do you disagree with that?
Where does this objectivity come from?
It doesn't, Carl. You're not understanding what I'm saying. So I'm not appealing to authority like you are, right? Or appealing to majority or whatever type of fallacy that you're coming up with, right?
What authority do you think I'm appealing to here?
Well, hold on. Well, this is what I'm saying. So I'm telling you that this is axiomatic. So Carl, I'm making this very clear to you. I'm making this very clear to you.
Appealing to authority. This is like the third time you said it. What appeal to authority do you think I'm making? Like, what do you think appeal to authority is?
I think that you are appealing to whatever this government is going to say or the governing body is going to say.
No, I'm not. I'm saying though that where does this objectivity come from?
I told you. Your right to it's all based off your axiomatic right to self-ownership of your own person.
Okay, but I'm saying where does that objectivity come from? Let's see.
Well, Carl, I don't know if you're not understanding what I'm saying. Like, do you know what axiomatic means?
Yes. So I'm asking you. So
what does axiomatic mean, Carl?
Right. So this is like your line of what's the word that the libertarians like to use? Like praxeology.
Carl, what does axiomatic mean?
Your praxeological deduction, right? That you've used. I'm assuming that you start with this. Like most libertarians, I think start with this. Like you can reason. Therefore.
What does axiomatic mean?
Wait, I keep telling. I feel like you're doing this because I asked what appeal to authority is. I'm saying that where does this objectivity come from? So like objectivity means that like it's like a fact.
You wouldn't be asking me that if you understood what axiomatic meant.
No. I'm not asking what axiomatic means. I'm saying that where does this objectivity come from?
No, I'm asking you that. I'm telling you, like, when you're asking me where does this objective, where do rights come from, or why is this objective? I'm telling you that it's axiomatic. You don't know what axiomatic means, so you don't think that I'm answering your question. So axiomatic, so hold on, I'll answer it for you because you don't know what it means, but it's okay. So axiomatic means that it is self-evident, right? It is self-evident that it is true that you have the right to your own person, right? You have the right to your own body. This is self-ownership 101. You also have the rights to your labor because hold on, let me finish. You also have the rights to your labor because it comes from your body. This is axiomatic, right? Now, the only reason that you would want to like challenge me on this is if you think that you don't have like the rights to your body. Now, if you want to say that, then that's fine.
I'm saying that so to say that it's self-evident, how do you think it's self-evident?
How do you think that it's self-evident?
Yes.
Okay. So right.
Right.
No. So it's fine. Yeah. So it's fine. So for it to be self-evident, I don't know how to explain like self-evidence. Like it's evident in and of itself, right? So just for me to act here, listen. So just for me to act, I'm trying to explain this in a way because I'm telling you it's axiomatic, and you don't think that it's axiomatic that you have a right to your body.
I want to be really clear about what I'm saying.
No, this is fine. If you don't know, Carl, if you don't think that you have like, if you don't think that it's self-evident that you have a right to your body, then that's fine. Like we can try and like, I can try and describe why it would.
I'm going to try and tell you what I mean. So when you say something self-evident, right? So that would mean like this pen is solid. Like this is self-evident. You can point to the fact that it's solid. So what do you think is self-evident about rights?
No. Hold on. The only right that I told you, right, is the right not to be unjustly aggressed upon. You're the one who believes in all of these other rights, right? I told you that you don't have a right to be unjustly aggressed upon, right? Hold on. Stop interrupting. Right? Hold on. Carl. It doesn't, even when you try to interrupt, they can't hear you, right? So you get cut off. Hold on. They can't hear you and I can't hear you. You get cut off.
But you said
they can only hear me.
But you said you believe in other rights. You said that you believe that, for example, the right that like a child has a right to their parents' care, right? You said that that's a right that you believe in, a positive right that you believe in.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's not the only right that you believe in.
Well, no. So you have the right to not be unjustly aggressed upon. But this is like then you have to go into like what's unjust about aggressing upon it, right? So you would say that we have to aggress upon our children in some way in order to like feed them, in order to shelter them, in order to do whatever. But this wouldn't be unjust.
No. I'm saying that. So are you saying there's one?
And I also talked about like just like contractual agreements as well.
So yeah, but are you saying there's only one right that's objective, or are you saying?
I'm saying that everyone has the right to not be unjustly aggressed upon, and I'm saying that you have like this is a mixture of like causal responsibility and also like disproportionate like levels of aggression towards like quote unquote aggressors.
No aggression or unjust action would be taken.
That's not what I said. I didn't say no aggression. That's not what I said.
No. I'm saying that like, so where does the right that like a parent has to their child, where does that right come from in your mind?
Right. So I just told you. So it's a mixture of causal responsibility and like using disproportionate levels of force if you're talking specifically about like abortion.
So yeah, so not disproportionate. Like I'm talking about the child is born, right? You have a 5-year-old child, right?
Right.
So the right comes from. Like where do you think that? Like so you're saying a mixture of causal responsibility. I'm gonna ask you to go deeper than that. Like what do you mean when you say that?
What causal responsibility is?
I'm saying so you're saying like I'm asking you where.
Yeah. So if you cause X to occur, then you are responsible for like Y consequences, right? So if you like create a human being, right, and this human being is completely reliant on either you or reliant on whatever, and you allow them to die or you kill them, that would be unjust.
Yeah. Okay. So that's interesting, right? So why do you think that it like so I don't disagree, right? So I think that we should, right? But I'm saying that I don't think this is objective. I think this is something that we can subjectively say, but I think it is objective. Just like you asked me before, like why is life valuable? I don't think you can necessarily say that. You know, maybe you can give some flowery answer, but at the end of the day, it is a value. It is just something that you value, right? That is just the
Yeah,
simple.
but I don't value it. So why do you think that life is valuable?
You don't think life is valuable?
I don't think it's inherently valuable. No.
Well, no, it's subjective, right? Like there's some people that don't think that life is valuable. I would disagree with those people.
So why is life valuable?
Yeah, I think that life is valuable for so like my personal reasons because this is how like our species survives. This is how the planet survives. This is how like the reason we can have this conversation.
Yeah,
Is
but like,
because
why is that? Yeah, but why does that matter? Why does it matter that something survives?
well, no, that's what I'm saying. I think it's subjective.
Okay, so you can't, so you don't know why it's important that something survives?
No, I think it's subjective, right?
No, I understand you're saying it's subjective, but I'm asking you, why do you believe that it's important that something survives?
Yeah. So like because like for me personally, like why do I think it's important that like I survive?
No, that's how. No, something. Why do you think that it's important for something? You used earlier like an example of like stepping on a flower. Why is it important that that flower survives?
Yeah, so I think it is wrong if we like just arbitrarily kill things, right? I think that for the most part we should avoid arbitrarily killing things. We like I think that most
No,
people would.
But Carl, no. I keep asking you why you think it's important, and then you just
So
keep saying, "Well, I think that you shouldn't do it."
that's what I'm saying. Because I think that life is valuable. I value life. That's why I think we should. I know that not everybody values life, but I do value life.
Carl, I understand that. I understand that. I understand that you think that life is valuable. I'm asking you to substantiate your claim.
Wait, because I think that you also value. You say you don't, but I think you do. So if you're driving down the street, right, and like there's like a squirrel, right, that's lying there. Maybe it's like its leg is broken,
Are you still
and
not
like
going to answer my question?
wait, I'm gonna ask you this because I also think because I want to know what you think. So you're driving, the squirrel is there, it's on the street. You would have to swerve your car to not hit the squirrel. Like you wouldn't have to like hit anything, but you'd swerve your car, or you could not do anything and hit the squirrel. I would imagine Tyler that you would swerve and not kill the squirrel. Why would you do that?
Do you think that I would swerve and not hit the squirrel?
Yes,
I don't necessarily think that I would do that. No,
you would just run over the squirrel.
probably.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess that. Really? What if it's a dog?
If it was a dog, is it my dog?
It's a cute dog.
It's a cute dog. If it's a cute dog, I might sure swerve out of the way. I probably would. I wouldn't even go say that I might. I probably would.
Okay, but if it's like a dog that you don't find
Unless
cute,
this is a dog. Unless this was a dog that was just like chasing me out of the woods, then I'd run it over.
that's different because it's chasing you. But like I'm
Yeah.
just saying. I don't see Tyler. I know you're saying this. You wouldn't hit the squirrel. I know you
Dude,
wouldn't.
I'm not trolling you. I'm not trolling you, Carl. Like I
Would
promise.
you?
Like if it was a squirrel, like I mean, I'd eat squirrels, right? So like I don't like people have eaten squirrels. You know what I'm saying? That's like food to me. Like animals don't have rights. If I don't have like some type of emotional attachment to it, then I don't really care about it, right? So the reason why I would likely swerve out of the way of a dog is because I have a dog. I value my dog, and I think that I would like subconsciously like use like my own emotional attachment to my dog and be like, oh, there's another dog. There's something else that's like it, so I'm not going to do it. Yeah, right. But this is just subjective, my person. If it was a squirrel, if it was a squirrel, I probably would just run that motherfucker over.
Wait, but it's subjective. Like I don't have to ask you like why like you value your dog. Like obviously just because you do, you value your dog. Like that, it's a value that you hold. And
Well,
that's
no. I can tell you why. No, I value my dog. Because my dog itself, like I've created like an emotional attachment to this specific thing, but you haven't created an emotional attachment to all dogs or all of the world or all people or all whatever, right?
no. I don't think that I necessarily have like an emotional like attachment. You know, there are people
Yeah,
that
that's why I'm saying that. Like, yeah, that's why like when people like
die.
say that like life is just like valuable or like it's inherent that life is valuable, like I'm just saying like why? Like,
No, no.
and then you'll say things like, well, I don't think that these things should, I think that it's wrong to like to end this life. And I'm just like, well, why is it wrong? Like, why do you think that it's wrong? Like, and like people usually can't like substantiate that.
Yeah, so like that's what I'm saying. So like I'm coming at this where I do think that these values are subjective. They're not objective. They're not like an objective reason why we can value any of this. I think it's subjective. I've chosen to value life. I try to convince other people that they should value life, right? And there are other values like bodily
So
autonomy.
hold on. So are you saying, Carl, that you think that it's axiomatic?
No, I don't think it's axiomatic because that would imply.
Okay, so if you don't think that it's axiomatic and you don't think that it's self-evident, then you would need to substantiate your claim as to why life is valuable. You
Yeah,
can't substantiate that.
yeah, so most of this comes to like I basically I come from like we should try and limit suffering and things like that. I think that that's where most of this comes from. Feeling we should try and limit the negative feelings of this, like kind of like a consequentialist kind of
Does
thing.
a flower suffer if you step on it?
I don't think that we know if flowers suffer, probably not, but I still think that from there,
So then what? So why? What's the problem with stepping on the flower?
I think that you shouldn't just carelessly step on a flower.
But why? That's what I'm asking you. Like fucking why, Carl?
You can avoid killing a flower. I think you should.
I understand you think I should, but I'm asking you why should I?
So that the flower can keep living, right? It is a life.
Bro, this is circular reasoning. This is circular reasoning, Carl. I'm asking you why exactly I shouldn't step on a flower. And you're saying, well, because it will end the flower's life. And I'm asking you, okay, well, why does that matter? And you're just like, well, because then the flower would no longer be living. This is circular reasoning.
I'm not like an ecologist. I'm sure that we could give reasons for like the benefits that like to the ecosystem that are provided by like flowers and trees existing. Trees is more of the the oxygen and things like that.
It comes from the ocean. Like 70% of it actually of our oxygen comes from the ocean. But yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Well, let's say that it does. Regardless, though, I'm sure we get some from trees, right? I'm pretty sure we get.
No, we do. But most of it comes from like the like these types of like plants from the ocean.
Okay, fair. But
it's interesting shit. Like I don't pretend to like be a wizard. I literally just learned this like a little while ago. It's interesting.
For the sake of argument, right? Let's ignore plants for example. Just suffering, right? The suffering of like the animals. That's what the puppy example before. I don't think you just like arbitrarily like torture.
But I like the plant thing, and the reason why is because you say that you value just like all life. Right, so it doesn't really matter if I focus on animals or I focus on plants, right? Like your principle should still hold no matter what. Well, so that's why I'm just like why do I give a shit about stepping up? Like then it's just like grass. It's like it's like should we not step on fucking grass? Should we not have grass? Like then it's just like, and then you're talking about like flowers and shit, and I'm just like, well, why? Like why do I care?
I don't know why we did the flower example. Maybe I shouldn't have done the flower example. But like, don't get me wrong, I do think that
it's all good, dude.
So for example, like if you're driving a car to like save, and I know you're gonna agree with this, but like if you're driving a car to like save a person, end up like I don't think that's like wrong. I think that like we can't.
Wait, say that again.
If you like are in a car, you like racing to the hospital to save a person, and you accidentally hit a bush. I think that's fine. Obviously, like we can value some things more than others. You know what I mean? Like I'm sure that you will probably there's some people that probably value their dog's life more than they.
Are you a utilitarian, Carl?
To a degree. I don't think like I'm like a complete utilitarian, but I think that.
Do you believe that like certain lives can be sacrificed for like the greater good?
No, I think that like so. What's the word they give to that? Like, there's a word that people give for like utilitarian because you can have like different things, right? Like where you can say that like the sacrificing of an innocent life, just you won't get enough utility to like justify that, right? Like because when you talk about utilitarianism, you have to talk about like where does that like how you measure utility.
Sure, but like what if it could? Like what if we could objectively prove that it would?
Yeah, I mean, I think that some people would say, like, for example, like, do you think that it would be, justified to like assassinate Hitler to prevent World War II? I think that.
No, I'm a deontologist, so I don't believe in utilitarianism. I reject it like fundamentally.
So you don't think that like assassinating Hitler to end World War II could have been justified?
Well, no, hold on. Are you talking about baby Hitler? Because that's the philosophical question. Like, would you go back and like assassinate baby Hitler?
I wouldn't. Well, no, I actually think the Hitler one's a weird example because like I think that there is likely a hole that would have been filled there regardless. Like I'm just saying, like, can we think of a circumstance if we?
Yeah. So if you're talking about like, they have this in like, in like generally philosophy like courses, and they usually bring up this Hitler thing, and they're like, okay, well, if you could go back in time and like unalive like baby H, I don't want to get like banned for this or get your live stream banned, like baby H before he committed all these atrocities, do you think that it's the moral thing to do? Like, should you do this or should you not do this?
Yeah.
Right. I would say no for a couple of reasons. Know that it's not moral to do, right? So for one, this baby H hasn't actually done anything yet. I can't eliminate somebody for something that they haven't actually done. They haven't committed a crime, right? They haven't done these atrocious things yet, right? So I find that to be like just inherently immoral, just in and of itself. But even if I could get around that, which I don't think I could, but even if I could get around that, then it becomes okay. Well, by eliminating baby H, right? What butterfly have I stepped on? Is it going to be worse than what it was before? Right, so like instead of like 6 million or whatever it was, right, is it now going to be like 50 million for somebody else who stepped in this, right? So like there's all kinds of like moral dilemmas there.
Those counterfactuals are interesting, but let me ask you this. So as a deontologist, you would say that it is always, regardless of the consequences, it is always immoral to what is it, what would this be, violate someone's right, because you believe that this right to not be aggressed upon, you would say it's always immoral. It doesn't matter what the potential consequences are.
Well, it kind of, right? So it means that like just because you are doing something that is immoral, it doesn't mean that you couldn't find a way to like justify this immoral action, but you would still recognize that like it generally was immoral. And then it would come down to like, okay, even if it was immoral, what would the consequences be for such immoral action? Even if it was immoral, what would the consequences be for such immoral action?
So you do care about the consequences.
No, but it's not like consequentialism, because consequentialism acts like as if like an act is moral or immoral based off of like the overall consequences that it has. I'm telling you that no, it's still going to be, this act is still going to be immoral, but like here, I think it'd be easier if I just like gave you like an example. So say that I don't know. Well, I kind of like gave you like examples already. I was like, okay, so look, if there's like a child in the middle of the woods and it's an infant, like, is it against their like bodily autonomy for me to pick them up and move them to some safety? Then I would say yes, that is generally against their consent. But because they cannot, tell me, because they can't vocalize that they don't want to be saved, right? Then I take it under the assumption that they do want to be saved, right? But then again, say that this was an adult, and say that this adult was just like knocked out or whatever, and then I like moved him from like these like ravenous wolves to somewhere else, and then he woke up and was like, "Well, look, I never wanted to be aggressed upon. You violated my rights, and so on and so on and so forth." Then I guess I don't know. Maybe they'd have a claim. I don't know.
See, that's where I run into the problem with like deontologists, because like obviously utilitarian, people have their criticisms of utilitarianism, but I also feel like you run into these problems with deontology. Like that was the example I gave with like the person walking, like if they're about to walk off a cliff and their like headphones are in and they don't realize it. I think that technically you are like unjust, you're aggressing on them, but I think the
Yeah,
issue.
but you wouldn't say that it's unjust. Yeah, but also this isn't for like some greater good either. This isn't for like for some greater good either. Like you're taking it like on an individual perspective, and or an individual like scenario, and you're saying, okay, well, I'm under the assumption that this individual wants to live, right? So like, because it's easy to say that like people want to live in general.
Well, I don't know if like as a deontologist, I don't know if you can make that claim, because like it sounds like deontologists, you care about the process of things, like you don't care about the consequences. It's
Yeah,
like
we care about the act itself.
yeah, the act itself,
Like,
exactly.
was this act just or unjust? Or
Well,
moral. Like I could even say that it's immoral to like aggress upon someone, that or initiate force upon someone. Um, but even if I could say like, okay, so it's immoral to aggress upon this person who is going to walk off of this hill. I did it based off of what I believe to be right, because I believe that they wanted to live, and I will face whatever these consequences are of like aggressing upon this individual. So it's more so like facing like the consequences of your actions as
but
well.
how are you deciding that it's just there? Like what by what metric?
Well, that individual would decide if it was just, really,
No. But
right?
like you're making that decision. How do you decide that it's just?
Like in that specific scenario.
Yeah,
In
because
that specific scenario, I just took it off of the assumption that he wanted to live. He didn't understand that he was about to die. The same way that I would make that decision if somebody was like drowning and I couldn't hear them say that they wanted help, but I see them drowning. I would take it under the assumption that they want to live, and I would pull them out.
I mean, like, don't get me wrong, like I would too, but like I would say that that's like more of like I would say that's a consequential. It's like you would rather save them
No.
than risk violating their autonomy.
Mm, No, not exactly. So because remember, so I still told you that like even like I could even say that this act in and of itself um is like immoral. It's immoral to like aggress upon people. But then it becomes it's not so much immoral to aggress upon people, it's just like unjustly aggress upon people. Um
But how can you justly aggress upon? Like that's the thing. Is like because like the just like from your moral framework, the only right
yeah,
is your right to not be aggressive.
is the right not to be unjustly aggressed upon.
But like okay, but
So
unjustly.
like for instance, right? So like if you are aggressing upon me, right, it would be just for me to reciprocate that aggression.
But then that's not aggressive. That's not aggression anymore. That's
That
retaliation.
is aggression.
Yeah, like that would be retaliation. Maybe we can look up the
Yeah,
definition.
but it's still aggression.
Maybe it is definitional. Okay. Let me ask you. I don't know.
Yeah, I can yeah, and I think you have like other people that want to get up here
Okay.
anyway, so I'm gonna kind of like bounce out. Like we could have like conversations like forever on things like this. Um, but yeah, man, I'm sure that we'll talk again in the future, bro.
All right. Well, it was good having you on, and I think we got hopefully somewhere. I don't. We didn't agree, but I think it was.
We didn't agree, but like I enjoy having these like conversations anyway. Are you looking into ethics?
Ethics. I mean, I feel like we're always looking into ethics. What do you mean by that? You have like a book recommendation?
Like, are you looking into like normative or like meta ethics or anything like that?
Sure.
Okay. So yeah, so like I'm just about to finish up with like normative ethics. That's generally like consequentialism, utilitarianism, deontology, virtue ethics, things like that, and getting into meta ethics. But yeah, man, like if you expand your knowledge on like normative ethics and meta ethics too, man, I'd definitely be down to have another conversation.
I love it. Well, I hope we get the chance to talk again sometime. You have a good one.
All right, dude, take it easy.